This pain smothers me like a bomb that you can't see. Tell me what you aim to. I just want to get there fast too.
Welcome to the Bear Brigade, presented by Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. I'm Magnum, and I'm here with the Soupdeucer to talk turkey. In this case, not literally turkey. We're here to talk about the official season 3 trailer of The Bear. About a week ago, we're talking about our hopes and dreams. We watched a little teaser. We're like, yeah, we're probably going to see a trailer soon. How soon will it be? It didn't take long, did it, Sue?
It did not take long, dude. I mean, they fed us a quick little hors d'oeuvre, man, a little charcuterie starter, man, with the teaser joint, man, just to get you interested. And then I think now we got a full-on appetizer here working, man. I mean, this trailer was pretty it was packed, man. I won't say action packed, but it was packed. A lot in there, man. A lot in those 45 seconds or whatever the fuck it was, man. So yeah, we'll get into the details, but I'm
It was like a
stoked about
solid 2 minutes, but it went by because
Might
it
have been 2
was action
minutes.
packed. That's a
Right.
yeah. The first one was pretty short because there's kind of the shot of Carmi in the kitchen or whatever. But here, especially at the end, you get a little bit of that montage. You get the quick cut, so there is a lot in there if you kind of stop and check it out. And that's what we're going to do here on the Bear Brigade, presented by Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. Thanks for checking us out. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, on social media at Dudes Watch Stuff. Same place on the web. Thank you for remembering it. Thank you for remembering to do everything you need to do to pass that health inspection. Call the fridge guy and remember the flaps. Follow, like, and please subscribe. All we ask, had fun. Please remember the thumb. And please remember this will be a whole full-on spoiler joint. Everything possible about the bear is in play here. You have been warned. And a final reminder, I am the proverbial regular dude here. I've done a little banquet waitering, but other than that, I am not very adjacent to the food industry, while the Soupdeucer is a veteran of many years and decades of that in kitchens and whatnot back in the house. So he's the man. Let's just kind of dive right into the season 3 trailer here before we kind of go through the highlights and the talking points. Soup, what were your overall thoughts on the trailer?
Dude, I am stoked. I like this trailer. I think it was packed a little full. I mean, it's a fucking mouthful, man. It's definitely a mouthful. But it's a lot to take in, and it could easily be the first episode or two and just a lot of shit from those. But this trailer is bringing you right in, letting you know, hey man, there's some shit's gonna go down, dude, on a lot of levels, man. I see the growth of the restaurant and the struggles that are gonna happen because there's gonna be some obviously, and I'm totally looking forward to it, dude. It roped me right in, man. It was everything I needed and a little bit more. And some people could argue it was too much, but I don't think so. I think it was a lot, but I think what we're gonna see is gonna be a lot more.
And that's what I like here. You had to see everybody a little bit. We didn't get that in the first season, so here you do get at least everybody kind of gets their second or two to shine. I got
I
only a
like
little bit
that
over
too.
two
Yeah,
minutes
man.
here, so I felt you kind of had to do that. They're teasing a couple of things, which we will get into. And I guess overall, you kind of mentioned it. Goldilocks is story for me. Do you think they gave away too much, too little, or just about right? I think I'm going to go with just about right. Yeah, there will probably be a moment or two when it happens. I'm like, oh, shucks, maybe that would have landed a little bit harder if it hadn't been in the trailer. But my guess is a lot of this stuff, they're doing the HBO thing where they're cutting scenes out of order. So some of the scenes, it looks like it's a response to one thing, isn't necessarily. So when it comes up, it still kind of catches you by surprise. So I would say they did it just about right. What do you think, Soup? Goldilocks, it too little, too much, or just
Well, when you're talking about porridge, man, you got to make sure you know what you're talking about, man, with the too little, too much, and whatever. But I feel like this show and the creators of the show know what they're doing, man, and they've proven it so far. So I don't have any doubts that it seems like a lot. It's packed, it's a full, like I said, it's a mouthful, man. But again, this could just all be episode 1, or it might be stretched into a couple. I don't think they gave too much away. I think they let us know and reintroduced us to some things that we may have forgotten about if we haven't rehashed the episodes going into it. Like, oh, I forgot about this guy, or whatever the fuck. So I think it kind of spread the wealth a little bit and really sets the stage for getting everybody's attention and grabbing you right by them, and not grabbing them too hard, but enough to get hey man, you're paying attention to me now, kind of thing.
Yeah, totally not quite related, but they are showing the Bear on FX for the first time, and they're doing it marathon style. So I think they might even be doing the first 2 episodes in a block. But I'm trying to figure out, man, when do the commercial breaks go in this? Like
Yeah,
I
really,
know that you could find a spot, but it's not designed for them. You know what I mean? It just sometimes it just feels like I'm sure there's a couple obvious ones, but sometimes, man, the show just gets momentum going. And I would be like, oh man, now you're cutting the commercial. I feel like I'd be really mad if I'm used to watching this streaming and then you get the commercial. It's kind of how Amazon is cramming commercials into the boys now. It wasn't designed with act breaks like that. It's not natural.
it reminds me of like back in the day when you had no choice but to watch things on TV and there would be commercials. And it kind of sets a whole like suspense element to it. It's not so much a cliffhanger
Yeah, it
and
was.
then
They were written that
the
way, though. They knew
then
where
you
they had
but
the act break for
right.
commercials, so they would deliberately write to it. And then when you would come back, sometimes they'd even remind you what happened in the last scene, just in case somebody changed the channel and picked it up after, like, after the commercial break or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
It was a
yeah,
certain way,
exactly.
like
Right,
it
right.
was written and edited. So something to throw out there because I think it will introduce it to some new people, especially an older audience maybe that doesn't do the streaming thing but still has cable, so they're checking it out.
Yeah, I definitely think it breaks up the tone of it. It kind of throws off the momentum and everything. I mean, it's stopping for commercial breaks. It is for no other reason but suspense. To make somebody hang on. I can't see of a benefit really.
Yeah, I'm not
Outside
a fan.
outside of
I pay
business or
extra
financial. So
for the no ads generally.
yeah, you
So
don't want
I'm not a
this is a
fan.
show
Like,
where
yeah,
you
especially because I don't really care about the product. I cannot think of one product I've bought based on an ad I've seen on any show like
no
this or
nobody gives
whatever.
a
So
fuck about that shit,
no,
dude.
it's all about
Nobody gives a fuck.
raising awareness of your
Yeah.
product, basically letting people know it exists. So yeah, I don't have time. I would rather yes, I for $3 or something, yeah, dude, I'll no ads, please and thank you. One of the things we talked about on our season preview, our hopes, our predictions, was whether or not we would get a flashback episode. Here we definitely see John Barenthal as Mikey in footage we haven't seen. We see a young Carmi, I'm pretty sure, a couple of times. What do you think? Are we getting an entire flashback episode again? Is it just a couple of scenes? We see Carmi looking through pictures, it looks like, and he's got one of his mom, Donna, and Mikey. Is he going to maybe take us through a walk down memory lane, maybe for a bit instead of getting a whole episode like last time? What do you think? Just any thoughts on the flashback of it all? Because it seems like they're teasing us with it.
There's definitely going to be it's definitely going to be there. Whether or not it's an entire episode, I mean, they set the bar really high with fishes. So, like, if they were going to dedicate an entire episode to a flashback situation, it would have to be something of that caliber. I feel like it'll probably be sprinkled in throughout the season, like little bits here and there. Either way, I'm down for it, dude. Especially that we know it's going to involve Michael and shit. So and this is elements that we kind of need because it's basically the foundation of what the story is. So I think it's important to the show and the structure of the show. So definitely looking forward to that. Also it's very interesting, to see the history and the coming up and how all this stuff actually happened and whatnot. So the family history is definitely cool. I would like to dive a little bit deeper into it, maybe some of the other characters too. That's why I think maybe they don't have a full on 45 minute to an hour or a big long fishes episode this year. If they do
Right,
them,
maybe more like the first season where we got Michael kind of in the like a little. It was more like a part of an episode, like the opening. I think it was when we first met Mikey and got the
uh,
flashback with him and Carm, and was after the Bears game or something like that. I forget. In the first season, they're in their kitchen or whatever, talking and whatnot.
yeah, I mean it's gonna be there. I'm kind of right now. I'm leaning towards maybe it's just kind of like layered throughout.
Yeah, I could
Um,
see that too, like doing it throughout an up or keep coming back to it throughout the season or something like that. Even
yeah,
I do think we are going to maybe get some part of when Carm goes to Mikey and is basically tries to pitch him on doing the bear. And then when Mikey says no, that's where Carm goes to New York. And then we get some of that, a little bit more like we saw at season one with Joe McHale as the chef and everything like that. I'm like 99% positive we get a shot of that in the trailer here, or at least Carmy like working somewhere else on the come up where it's not the bear. So if I had to guess, I think that's what we'll get instead of say getting another Bertazzo holiday special like we did with Fishes, something like that.
yeah.
Do you think Donna shows up? We see her in a picture here. Do you think we get Jamie Lee Curtis again? I kind of do.
I do too, man. I think if you're gonna have somebody like Jamie Lee Curtis on board for the show, just to have her in the one season would do it injustice. So I feel like she'll definitely make an appearance this season. and I going back to Carmi with the New York thing, I would like to see more of his backstory anyway, whether it's the little bits of shit we saw in season one with him, with the other chef and everything, and kind of going through it with the tyrannical, you know,
Yeah, the guy that Joel McHale played, he was just billed as like New York chef or whatever, so he didn't have a
yeah,
name.
and a
But
lot of
no.
people that do this kind of have been in a similar situation or something that they can kind of
Well,
relate
I wonder
to.
because we get Chef Luca, I think, back. Will Poulter, like perhaps that's going to be maybe we get the flashback where him and Carmi meet.
That would be cool. I'd be down for that. And I'm always, for him in going to New York or coming back from New York, whatever, anything involving that, I'm cool. I'm definitely down to see more Sarah Paulson. I loved her work in American Horror Story. She's a great actress, man. So I mean, I'd like to see her more in this. I think the Bear would benefit from having her involved a little bit more too. So that would definitely be something cool to see.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, I'm there. And obviously, bring Bob Odenkirk back. I'm even there. Like, give me like a Uncle Jimmy's origin story. Like, cast someone as like a
That'd
young
be cool
Oliver
too. Yeah, a
Platt,
little
like
more with Jimmy
like
too.
a little like
That'd be
Bronx Tale kind of thing with the Chicago version of Bronx Tale with
that'd
Uncle
be
Jimmy or something like that. If they
hey,
couldn't
yeah.
if they had to pad the season out by an episode or something, I would totally be down for that. I think that would be incredibly fun. We also get the non-negotiables here. Is this something you've ever encountered in your career?
I have my weird things, like this has to be here, this has to be
Like
here,
my
this
way or the highway, basically? Like, you have to cut the lines a
and not
certain way or whatever, or
not so much like that, but yeah, I mean, sometimes, I mean, yeah, little things are important when it comes to like some of the stuff, depending on what you're doing and where you're working or whatever, it could be incredibly intricate and has to be a certain exact, way, time, everything is just so precise, if you're in a more loosely based, which I kind of prefer, but still being, that caliber of shit, then you still have to take those things into account, so yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I'd be so harsh on like non-negotiables as far as like, going over the edge with some of them and their ridiculous demands and everything else. But there's certain things that just have to be a certain way if you want to do a certain thing, I mean, otherwise it just doesn't work. So I do get that. I'm looking forward to seeing how this progresses. Obviously, from the trailer, it doesn't look like it's being swallowed to it looks like it's a little bit hard to swallow for everybody but that's kind of how shit like that works, man, and then you get used to it, you adapt to it, so I mean, we'll see how it plays out.
yeah, because most of it seems more not emotional or global than specific. It's all about not having fear and innovating and working faster and more together. But it just seems like the kitchen version of like bullshit corporate speak, right? Like, oh, we need
Kind of
team
is, yeah.
synergy and cross training, interdivisional whatnot or whatever. It just seems like
Sure.
Carmi's kind of, we see it as he's right on the back of tickets. He probably was pissed off about something or he had a brainstorm and everyone's trying to process like, is he really serious? Like, what does he really mean here? Is there a deeper meaning to this? My guess it has something to do with him, doing the thing with Sid with the partnership agreement we see and her wanting to go for a star. And we hear him allude to that in the trailer. Like, this is what you wanted, right? And you see some things like, different ingredients every
Well, you
day,
hear him
like
say
no
that he
repeat
wants a star,
ingredients.
so
I think it's validation. He wants validation, I think, and the star equals validation for better or worse. For some people, it's money. For him, it's a star.
I can definitely relate to this. I'm not looking for I'm not trying to get a Michelin star, man, I mean, I don't work in the kind of place where I'm gonna be on the level of trying to get a Michelin star, maybe a James Beard, but, Michelin star is just too much, but to do something like this and to want something like that, then you have to be that particular, So I mean, I get where he's coming from, and I totally understand that. And yes, there's been plenty of times. It's every day, 2 or 3 times a day, where I'll hit the fucking ticket printer, dude, and just bust out some paper and write something down because I have a fucking thought, and I have clipboards and shit, but they're not right there. But if I'm right there, hey man, there's paper, dude. Boom, and you write it down. You might write it on the back of a ticket. You might write it wherever. You get an idea. You gotta put it. Otherwise, you'll forget it. It's like sometimes by the time you walk all the way to the walk-in, you know how many times a day this happens to me. And then you get in there and you're like, the fuck did I come in here for? And that sucks because then you got to backtrack and like retrace your steps and remember. And I don't know, man.
Yeah,
A
that's the
little,
writer's thing where you're like, oh, I have this great thing. I just need to find, like, give me my computer, my piece of, and then as soon as you get there, great, I'm going to write it down. Shit, what was I going to
yeah.
write down?
Yeah. What was I
It
going to
feels
write
like a
down? Right.
doctor doing that. Like, that would be the
Sometimes it
doctor
only takes
writing
that
them on
split second.
prescription pads, right? Then everything, like, they got something like, oh, I got to write, they're just on a, scribbling on a prescription pad. And speaking of that, dude, and maybe you can attest to this personally or not. Carm's handwriting obviously shitty. We saw that in season 2 when he's trying to write all the math figures on the pizza box. Yeah,
Yeah,
not great. We see it
that's
on the
standard for
non-negotiable list. Is that kind of standard? If you get to be chef, then you don't have to write legibly anymore. Because doctors, I swear to God, dude, I don't know how the pharmacists read some of this shit. It's like
Yeah, chefs
squiggly
chefs and
lines.
doctors are very similar with the handwriting. I think with chefs anyway. I don't know doctors so much because they don't really seem to be in the sense of urgency unless they're in surgery or something, you know. But with people working in restaurants, it's like every day, like you're always in a hurry. There's always a million things you're doing, so you're writing fast. You know, like when I'm writing my specials on my clipboard every morning and every afternoon to give them to the wait staff so they can put them on the special boards. I have to be like, come back to me if you need me to translate because it might be so fucked up because I was writing them in such a hurry. To you know, so I mean, it
Right,
is.
especially if you use shorthand or something like that or whatever.
And
Just
then
assume they know
there's
what
so
you're
much
gonna.
and then there's so much kitchen speak, like you're writing your prep list or something, and you're like, you know, cook big tits or you know, whatever the fuck. There's all this weird kitchen speak that gets done, and
Right,
like,
yeah, we have to have
like
we have like plot logs, like it'd be like to like log everything and like sweep the parking lot or whatever. Like it would be weird, like go back in various
yeah, so
jobs.
I mean, and everything, and a lot of stuff, depending on where you're working, a lot of stuff's in slang, too, which only we can understand, which is fine. But you know, but everybody has their own way to do it, and if it works, fucking go for it, man. But yes, statistically, and you know, I'm not one to
Handwriting not
stereotype,
so
but
great.
my handwriting not so great when it comes to restaurant
Well,
folks,
that way no
man.
one can ever blame you, right? It's like you say, well, that's what I wrote. Did you not know how to read?
Yeah,
You have
I've done.
plausible deniability at
I've
least.
pretty
So
much
I
said
feel
that
like it's like
verbatim
same thing a
before.
corporate CEO would do, right? They never want anything on paper or on email or whatever. Same thing. You just write so illegibly that it can be whatever you want it to be. You can even be a vote.
And I'll be like, any questions? Now's the time. If you can't read it, ask me now before we are in the shit. You know, don't come to me when we're in the middle of fucking
Right,
dinner.
yeah. I don't even want
What does
to
this mean?
do
Like, you
not
fucking
dare question my handwriting when we're in the shit.
yeah, not in the
It
shit, dude.
means
You should always
exactly what I meant it to mean at that time, God damn it. That's what it means. And we got to see that a
all
little bit
questions.
too with Carmi in the trailer obsessing over shit. I like the bit where he has the two bowls, and maybe they
Oh yeah,
are. I wonder
they're
how
hair
long
off.
they
They're cut
spent
hair
in
off.
the
They're
prop
definitely cut
department
hair.
trying to figure out like how different they have to be, like 3% off, like enough that it looks like it maybe could be. I think it. Remember that thing where they showed what was it a dress and they're like, is it black or it's blue? And that was a whole
Oh
internet thing.
yeah.
I think they're kind of doing a take on that and just kind of showing the obsession of it all. But you get that right when he's straightening out all the stools at the bar. He's eyeing up the play settings. I wouldn't even surprise me if he brought a ruler out there or something like that. So you think he's going to go too hard like this? Yeah.
If you're in a high end joint like that where you're going for a Michelin star, everything has to be perfect, and it does come down to little shit like that. Bowls not being the same size and shit. You know, I mean, all that shit factors into that. That's why it's like, you know, important on that level. To me, where I'm at right now, I get pissed off because I have like different size salad bowls and shit, and it pisses me off that they're not the same size. I'm like, well, I can't send these out to the same table, you know. So I try to go with like you know, how many we have, what's clean and what's already out there. And if we only have two odd shaped bowls, and I'm gonna be pissed if I have to send them out to the same table, you know, because one guy's getting this bowl, one guy's getting that bowl, and it's fucking tacky. It's stupid.
And
We're
they might
better.
look, yeah, they might just see it'll make things look different, right? There's the famous
Yeah.
meme of like the two cups that are the same size with the same amount of liquid, and then someone pours it into the taller cup and they think they're getting more in the shorter one because it just looks
Yeah,
bigger
it's
to
like
your
what
eye.
falls faster, the bowling ball or the feather, you know, when you
Right.
drop it.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
weighs more? Yeah, a bowling ball or 10 pounds of feathers.
Right.
Yeah, that old gang, 100%. But there is a little bit of truth to it. So do you think maybe, and it kind of seems obvious almost, right? Like one of the themes of the season might be Carvey going too far with the obsession, especially if he gave up Claire for this. So he doubles down on the bear then, right? Without Claire now? I think
Yeah,
he
I
doubles
definitely
down,
think he's
triples
gonna
down.
go. I definitely it feels like it, and we get a little hint of that from the trailer that he's gonna go a little extreme with it. I mean, granted, it's you know what he should be doing, you know, to make
But
this
he's
place.
coming in at 5 a.m. for 5:30 p.m. service, right? I mean, that's like he is like
Well, I mean,
that's
that's what it is, dude. You know, I mean, but still, when you're that committed, when you're doing this, and you want everything to be at that precise, yes. But there's a fine line between doing it the right way and going overboard and being a complete fucking lunatic. And I have to do that. I have to put myself in check kind of a lot, more than once a week, and be like, dude, am I being a lunatic or am I trying to do my job the right way? You know, and you have to find the happy medium, you know, I mean, so it's all in what you're doing. But yes, it is a thing. It's definitely a thing.
Well, it looks like we're seeing a little bit of that in the trailer. We see like no surprises on one of his scribblings, and then he yells at Richie, "No surprise!" When Fat Kids looks like a big pinata almost. And Richie walks out singing "Feliz Cumpleaños," like a Spanish "Happy Birthday." I get it, right? But Richie wants to put his own spin on it, so I think again that'll probably be a little source of the conflict, right? That Richie wants
Yeah,
to,
I think a
he has a
lot
little
of
more
this show.
flair, I guess, right? Carm wants to do the job and do all the nitty gritty, and Richie wants to be stylish and have the little bit panache.
Here's the thing with that is if Richie's up front taking care of that, it's all perception up there. So that's the kind of shit he should be doing. Now this all goes back to the episode of Forks where you know, everybody that does this for a living and is a professional at it had somebody or something change them and kind of show them, oh shit, okay, now I get it. For Richie, that was Forks when he went to that place or whatever, you know, that restaurant and learned, and
Right, yeah.
when it finally clicked for him, you know. So he's taking that here because he saw the shit they were doing there and he wants to do that too. So this is what I gather from this. You know, he wants to make the people happy with whatever the fuck they want, but he's going a little bit overboard with these fucking surprises. And Carm don't like that shit because he's like, this is fucked. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
pinata seems a lot, and it seems probably
Right.
like
Yeah.
they don't have any time for a dedicated person, so he's just cruising Facebook or whatever. So he sees it's someone's birthday,
You can only
which is
go
kind of
so far
simple.
with
I mean,
that
there's
kind of
nothing
shit,
wrong
you know?
with
Right.
the restaurant birthday, but that seems a little bit above probably what some
Yeah,
of
but
these.
if you're in a you know starred like
Yeah,
high
that's not TGF
and fine
Fridays,
dining joint, yeah, it's not. You're not at El
right?
Cerro
It's not
Grande.
Jack Astor's where you stand
The
on a
dude with
stool and chug a
the
beer for your
sombrero
birthday.
comes out singing happy birthday and shit, you know, this ain't that joint, you know? So, I see his point, I see that, you know, again, we'll have to get into it and see how it actually pans out, but I feel like he's trying to make the people happy, which is a good thing, you know, because, you know, for what to do, for what anybody's doing, you always want customers to have the experience. You know, he might be taking a little bit too far with all this, you know, you balls or bells and whistles, you know, so to speak. So
Right, like some of the stuff we saw in Forks was like I still remember the cool thing they poured like the cotton candy or whatever, and then the
right,
surprise was like with the deep dish pizza. It wasn't a song and a dance with a pinata. It was something subtle but
yes,
meaningful.
exactly, and then that's
Or like
probably
yeah, not
where
dropping a
it should be
check for the
going with
people
it.
who saved up all the dough to go there. You know, it was just a little bit. You know, again, good writing, but that's still probably them figuring themselves out, right? So, you know, my guess is it starts out over the top and then they got to balance it out.
That's the way to play it rather than a big, you know, tacky pinata, big display kind of thing that's going to interrupt other guests, you know. So
Yeah, but also from our standpoint, totally worth it just for the visual effect walking out with it. So
oh, yeah, of course, you know, and I liked the
right, yeah,
facts
for us,
involved, more than
yeah,
one
yeah,
fact.
more
I
fact
like
is
the
always yeah.
yeah,
We're team Matty Matheson, so I think just more
looks
fact
like we
is
got an additional
there can
fact
never
in
be too many
here, so,
fucking facts.
yeah.
We're there for all the fucking facts.
I mean, we'll fact it up, dude.
So obviously, I don't think there's been a very big time jump because Natalie is still pregnant, right? So what do you think? Will she have the kid during the season? I feel like she's obligated to go into labor at the restaurant during service, right? Because that's how television works.
I feel like if that happens, it'll be like the season finale or something, you know?
Probably, or when the Michelin food critic
Yeah.
shows up, like we
Yeah,
see they have the little lineup or
yeah.
whatever, right at that absolute crucial time, like she's fixing the toilet again or something, and there it comes. Like
Yeah, it'll definitely be something to that effect if that's the way they do it, man,
yeah,
but
so I do feel like she has the kid somehow in some way during the season because that will just be, I think, the best for the drama of it all.
hopefully not while she's locked in the walk-in cooler, you know?
No, hopefully, I'm going with the under point 0.5 people locked in the walk-in. I feel like they'll have flashing signs, they'll have emergency keys, axes. No one will ever be getting locked in that walk-in again. I feel pretty
If it happens
confident.
more than once, you're fucking stupid, dude, I
Yeah, then
mean
it's on you. Yeah, and you probably deserve to. Yes, they deserve to die, and I hope they burn in hell at that point. We'll break Samuel L. Jackson out for
again,
that one.
that was my biggest qualm with the way that season
Right, that's
ended.
the most unrealistic part.
There's
They
no
worked hard to set
yeah,
it up at least with the whole fridge guy thing and the handle
right.
being loose, so they did set it up. But yes, that's a little bit of dramatic license there. And another little bit of dramatic license, something we weren't sure we'd see. We see Claire in the trailer. She will be back. What do you
Yeah.
think? I think she kind of had to be. It would have been kind of odd if she was off the show after just. I mean, you could see why she would want nothing to do with Carmi. I did like the little scene he gave in the kitchen, explaining to everybody like, yeah, I basically told her like she was
I don't
bad
have
for
time
me in the
for it.
restaurant. Yeah, I
Mhm.
don't have time for her. So
It's
I get
like
it.
that though. You don't really, I mean, if they,
I didn't
it's
have a problem with Claire really. I again, she's that character that was in between Carm, the character we like, and the restaurant, which is what we want him to do. So naturally, as the viewers, I think we most of us wanted him more in the kitchen. But I didn't have
yeah.
anything against Claire, so I'm fine with her
No,
coming
you're
back.
right. She was actually probably good for him because I think she kind of understood, like, yeah, somebody that can kind of relate to the hours and commitment that it takes to do something like that. It's hard, dude. And like I don't know how most people do it. Like me, I'm fortunate enough to be in a long-term relationship where who I'm with like kind of saw me up and coming through this and has kind of like dealt with it the whole time. So she knows that, I might not be home but one day a week and I'll probably sleep all day. Like, but it depends, I mean, like it's not for everybody, man. And but going back to not so much me, but I can relate to the whole thing with her and Carm, but it is a person who I think could understand him and kind of does. And if he were to be, I'm not against it. I just, me, I want more kitchen action. I could do without the drama, but I know it's a show and it has to be there. So, and it's always going to be there even in real life. There's always that too. So I get it. It's not my favorite part of the show, but it's going to be there and I'm not against it. I mean,
As
so
long as
like,
they don't deep end it and go like devote crazy amounts of time to it, I'm fine with them even trying to reconcile or whatever. I don't have any problem as long as it's not the main plot.
yeah, that was,
If it's just one of many kind of plot lines running in the background, cool. I just don't want it to become the focus and the end all be all kind of.
yeah,
At the
no,
end
that
of
would
the season, I would rather it hinge on whether or not the bear gets a star than whether or not Carm and Claire get back together. You know what I mean?
exactly. Yes,
That's
that's
kind of the
not what
way
the
I
show
would put
is
it.
about.
As long as
But
it's
it's
just
just,
an ingredient in the stew, we're good. But if it's the only burger we're being served, then
I mean, it's not the main course.
I
It's
might
not your,
question the menu.
it's not your porterhouse. It's your side of broccoli or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't even want a full like. Yeah, I don't even want a full like the full T-bone in or whatever. Like, I need it to be a little bit more than just the two, even if they're good. We see a couple other things. We get Uncle Jimmy, Oliver Platt here. It looks like he's a little worried about money, but Natalie says they're packed. My prediction is they're spending a ton of money on all these fresh ingredients and everything. What do you think? Any thoughts on the Bears' money situation?
Here's the situation with food costs. They can get pretty high, dude. But I'm assuming this place has a liquor license. So where you make your money in most restaurants that serve alcohol is with the alcohol, man, because you can get a triple percent turnaround on that thing. You're talking 300% turnaround on wine and booze and shit.
You're telling me a
With
bottle of domestic beer doesn't cost $8?
with food, the general rule of thumb is times it by three so that you can cover your costs, labor and whatnot, and then minimal profit after that. So food isn't really where it's at when it comes to making money. Booze is where it's at when it comes to making money. But you can't sink when it comes to making food either. I mean, you can't go under it. So you have to keep your food costs on a level where you're still in the good, but you have to rely on, alcohol sales and whatnot to kind of boost that to keep you over the edge.
Yeah, there's always a reason, like mac and cheese and garlic bread are on the menu.
But it depends. If you're serving high end, super high end,
Right? Yeah, high end. Yeah, high end, high end. I'm
it
just
doesn't
talking
matter
general.
because,
Like,
well, here's the thing: you could be serving a McDonald's burger and still get the same turnaround as you do a, Chateaubriand or something. One's $5, one's $100.
right. But at the end of the day, it's right how much money you like actually.
You got to make more than a quarter on this thing. Like so.
Right.
So
So
yeah,
I think that'll kind of be Uncle Jimmy's concerns, right? He said, he's a businessman, right? Well, then raise prices or cut costs. Those are the two things you can do to make more money generally. So
yeah, and
it'll
then labor,
definitely.
and then labor costs and all that shit, overhead, everything factors in. Dude, there's a lot that comes with running a fucking restaurant, man. It's
Right, especially
definitely
trying to run it the way they're running and no repeat ingredients, no doing
Well,
the
that's
same
I can
thing
totally
twice.
relate to you also, man. That's one of the things I like the best about what they're doing with this and in the way that the direction
Is
they're
this kind
going
of the
in.
chaos menu they alluded to in season one a little bit? It feels like it, right? I mean, if every day it's different, no repeat ingredients, that sounds chaotic.
It is, and I can absolutely 100% relate to this because every day I go to my job and do something different. Every day it's different menu. I write a different menu every day. We have our set menu, but what makes the place I work at successful the way it is because we change things every day because we have different
Right, that's kind of what you use the special board for, more or less. That's kind of the
the anchor.
that's a lot of places. I don't. That's what I start listening when they tell me the specials. Kind of. That's because usually you
Yeah.
feel like they're pushing them for a reason, more or
Well, some
less.
places, yes. Other places
Yeah,
like
I didn't mean it in a bad way, but a lot of times it's that's especially if I go to a steakhouse, I listen for like give me the special as soon as you say the words like dry aged ribeye, I start listening or whatever.
well,
And then
yeah, and
dry aged bone in, but it's
uh,
different every place. But you know what I mean.
but be careful with specials in some places because sometimes they're doing
They're
specials
trying to
just
push it out the door.
they're trying to get rid of leftovers from the weekend, whatever the fuck, which is fine. Is what you're supposed to do with specials. I mean, it's kind of half of it, but again, making different things every day keeps you interesting. It keeps people coming back. It gives you repeat business, and it makes people want to know, like they know what they're going to get anyway. But you're not
Right,
going
and
to
you
go to
can
see.
always get that old reliable off the menu, but if you want to go to a place 3, 4 times a week, unless you are that person that just enjoys getting the same
No, you
thing
get
over and
something
over
else.
again, it definitely behooves the place to give you more options, so you want to keep coming back.
Absolutely, yeah. And see,
Especially
that's
if you're
where we.
someone who's, likes trying new things, that kind of diner. Like that's the right, your wheelhouse. And those are the people that spend more money out, I'm sure. The people who eat the same thing over and over are less likely to go out because you just figure out how to make that one thing and just make it every day.
Absolutely.
I mean, how hard are our butter noodles anyways? And it did look like we saw Tina doing some of the ingredient shopping, so it seems like she might have a little bit more prominent role, kind of be in the number three a little bit, maybe, or kind of in there with Richie at the.
Yeah, and I think rightfully so, man. She's very committed. She's doing a great job. I would hire her, man. So I think at this level where she's at, she should be going. I mean, she probably has a
She
shopping
seems like
list.
she's been leveling up a lot since season one, kind of. She went to the food training, took it seriously, started appreciating the good knives, the good cookery, really
Well, that's
doing
what it
it.
says.
So
Sometimes with people, sometimes it just clicks, and when it does, then it's like, oh, I get it now. And it's not everybody. It's not for everybody to do this kind of job, man. But people that can do it, sometimes they get it like that, and sometimes they just never do, and that sucks, but it's not like I said, it's everybody's different. But the people that do, there's always something or somebody that makes them do it. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, it opens up like a door, like a whole world of shit that you never knew was even there. And I'll never forget the person who did it for me. I think I've told the story on here before and I'm not gonna do it now, but shout out Poundsbury. Thanks, man.
thanks, and yeah, thanks, I guess, and probably a couple of different ways because you get the good with the bad with the
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I
Thanks
guess
for
we
me.
should. Right. Thanks, and fuck you at the same time. Thank you, fuck you. Yeah, I mean that in the nicest possible way. And we should probably also mention Sid. We see Carm offering her legitimate partnership. I guess it makes sense. He always talked about that there was going to be a partnership, so I guess he's making it official. I mean, I can see why she shows a little bit of hesitation because if this fails, it's going to be on her too. No. So that's the thing, right? She wanted to be in for a penny, in for a pound. But now if she goes in, then if it fails, that's on her too. So I guess I can understand the hesitation a little bit.
Cooking on that level is almost like a sporting event. It's like you're on a team, and if you want to be that good and that important to that team, then yes, you got to push each other. And being in the situation those two are in, I feel like that's a good move. Because it will make them accountable for whatever they're doing, both of them. So it's a whole level of I can't fuck up kind of shit, and that's gonna
They
make
seem
it.
actually fairly compatible from a business standpoint as well. They have a lot of things in common, but they're different enough so that their strengths and weaknesses could kind of buttress each other a little bit, but they still have enough overlap that I think they'd want to kind of row in the same direction. I can see it working. I don't want it to be like a weird point of contention for the season where it's the whole season she's trying to decide whether or not she wants to actually be a full partner or not. I like the idea. I just kind of wanted to get over with it. I'd like them to be full partners, I think.
I think it's a good move. And again, it's incentive, I mean, and not everybody can, I mean, you find somebody that can do that and can be put in that position, then it's going to make, because you might know, like, I mean, I'm good enough to do this or do this, but you get an opportunity like that, and like, oh well, now I'm part of this for real. Then it's like, then you have to, I mean, no matter what, you have to you have to be A game all the time, you know.
Right around when they showed that bit in the trailer, they also showed Carmi being on the cover of a magazine. I think it was a local Chicago magazine, but about him reinventing the bear. Do you think there's any way that kind of drives this a little? Like he gets all the credit and then Sid and Richie feel a certain way, and then this is him trying to make up for it or something like that, maybe?
Yeah, no, that's how it is, dude. Like the quarterback always gets all the glory, I mean,
Yeah.
it's basically the franchise, I mean, it is what it is, I think everybody kind of understands that, if you're on the
Right, he
team.
does own the joint. I mean, it was his restaurant. It
And
was
he
his
owns
call to change it from a basically a sandwich shop into something drastically different, really, despite the fact they're keeping the window open, which is cool. We do see Ebra for second shout out Ebra. We see you still working the window there. Hopefully, that might be their most profitable
I
part of the
like
business.
that.
Who
I like that
knows?
aspect
That
of
might
that
be the
place,
only
man.
part of the business that's still making money. Who knows how it is? But very excited. Also, Marcus. We saw a couple of shots of him making dessert, so he's obviously still doing that. We'll see how that all works
Marcus
out.
is one of my favorite characters in there too,
Yeah.
man. I
Oh,
really
actually, I should point out we see the shot of him and Sid sitting on a stoop of a house with a for sale sign. And if you actually look closely, you see him exiting that same house. So I'm assuming that's his mother's house, and she has passed, and so he's trying to decide whether to sell it or not. I think even that when he's looking at those flowers on the fence, I think that's at his mom's house. So I feel it's like one of those things he's looking for a sign or something like that when he's supposed
could
to.
be, dude, and I'll go real quick on something like this. Like when you work with people for a good bit of time and you're working very, very long hours, spending lots and lots of personal time close by in small close quarters with each other doing crazy shit like restaurant work, you develop a bond with these people, man. And it really is like being on a team and something like this. I've seen and have gone, yeah, everybody goes through shit, I mean, and it's hard when things in personal life come into the job life, but there's no way around it because everybody lives life too, so it's the balance of that thing and everybody having each other's back when it comes to it, just like you're on the line, just like you're in the shit. When it comes to something that, off the field or out of the restaurant, you're still right there for them, and that's kind of important when it comes to a close knit team like that, and something like this, what they're doing in the Bear, what I do at the restaurant I'm at right now, like we're all very close knit, and that's important to make things function the right way, and to know that you have each other, like no matter what, like man, did I forget to drop that fucking tuna? Or whatever. No, I got you, man. I mean, it's little things like that or whatever. Or like, man, I just lost my fucking house. So, well, you
Right, the
come stay with
closest you can only have through like blood, sweat, and tears together, basically.
it is.
They're
It
having
really
gone through because you have to work together. A meal is
it's
like a team, and that
camaraderie, dude.
a lot of people go into making a team go from that order delivering to your table. That's not one person. That takes
No.
people working together to get that food, from menu to plate, so to speak.
Yes, it's a lot, man.
Team
And
effort,
so
man.
I appreciate that kind of thing. And I like that they're kind of diving into this
Yeah,
and
I think
going,
Mark. I think the death of his mom will happen, and that'll be a bigger part that they're not showing. Like we might see her funeral. We don't see a lot. Like I think that'll actually be maybe a bigger part of the season than they're letting on. Something they're kind of keeping
yeah,
back.
and I've been around long enough where I've seen traumatic events happen to people or even myself where it affects your job, dude. And
It
and
stays with you, man. You can't just
nobody's
not
immune.
everything just rolls off your back. I mean, you're human.
Yeah, everybody's human. Nobody's immune to the shit that happens in life. As much as you want to be Superman every day, it just isn't like that. But you do what you can, and at the end of the day, I mean, you've got to know that you have people that have that are behind you. That got you for support and whatnot. And that's so important to on the field and off the field, man. Yeah.
And honestly, that wouldn't surprise me if at the end of the season, that's kind of the takeaway. We know that season 4 is coming. They've shot it simultaneously or back to back with season 3. So I want to see the team come together. Ultimately, there has to be some drama. They have to come apart a little bit. But you know what? If they come together in the season 3 finale, I'm not going to be mad because, goddamn it, that's kind of what I want.
Yeah, it's dude.
I don't want to see him fail. Like, I don't want to see, Luke get his hand chopped off at the end of Empire or whatever. Like, I do want to see them succeed.
I mean, you might get into a verbal assault with one of your best friends on the line, but at the end of the day, you're probably drinking a beer together and being like, "Damn it, that was
Yeah, see,
fun."
that's what FAC is for. Richie and Karen can fight or whatever, but then FAC comes in. The FAC of life, dude. The facts of life. That's the spinoff we all truly need. Is the facts of life, where they open their own foster home and bring people in to make them all facts. So there is just an infinite supply of facts across the
I
universe.
love it. Give me more facts.
More facts, dude. More. The world needs more facts. Not facts machines, but just more facts in general. So I think we both agree with that. Let me just ask you, Soup, before we get out of here, where are you at on the hype meter for season 3? Scale of 1 to 10. How hype for you? Did the trailer do its job? I'm saying I'm a solid 9 right now, just because I want to give myself a little room to grow in case they drop one more trailer. Where are you at on the hype meter here?
Dude, I'm right with you now, man. And dude, I wanted to give it a full on fucking meat stick here, but I'm gonna go 9.5 just because this past trailer really made me more hyped for it. Just because like I said, like we talked about already, they gave a lot, but it's shit that I wanted to see, and I feel like I'm gonna see a lot of shit
A
I
lot
wanted.
of plating. There are a lot of different entrees and that kind of thing. So even though they're shortcuts, we do get a lot of more food and kitchen imagery for sure.
Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna see a lot of what I want to see, and also I have full confidence in the creators and writers of the show, and everybody involved in it that this is gonna be even better than last season, man.
Literally
So
award-winning folks behind the
yeah,
camera. So
so I am stoked for it, dude. And the only reason I'm not giving it a solid 10, I don't even know why I'm not giving it
you
a
gotta
solid
leave
10.
room to grow, dude. You gotta leave room to grow because you can't go up from the 10. That's how it works.
Don't leave that
Unless you're
reservoir.
breaking the scale and you're breaking the rules. And breaking the rules is a non-negotiable of the Bear Brigade. Thank you very much for checking us out. We're presented by Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. Find us wherever you podcast and on YouTube, on social media at Dudes Watch Stuff. Same place on the web. Thanks for remembering it. Thank you for remembering to call the fridge guy. And thank you for remembering the flaps. Follow, like, and please subscribe. All we ask, if you had fun, please remember this song. I'm Magnum Mills. He's a Soupdeucer. And remember, you either fork or you get forked.
Let it rip.